Beneficial interests of such investor in such debit or receivable including mortgage debit as the case may government securities such another instrument as may that declared by the central government to be security including onshore rupee and bond issue by multinational institution and like the Asian Development Bank and the International Finance Corporations right or interest in security according to act derivative is defined as a security derived from an debit instrument share loan and whether secured or unsecured risk instrument or contract for difference or any other from a securities a contract which derives its value from an price or index is the price of understand underlying security commodity derivative and such another instrument as may and declared by the central government to the derivative security sanction 81 provided the notes and anything contained in any another law and for the time being enforced contract and derivative shall be legal and valid if such contracts trade on a recogent stock exchange settled on the clearhouse of the recogent stock exchange in the according with the rules by law of such stock exchanges. It means Security and Exchange Board and India Act 1992. SEBI Act 1992 provide an establishment and Security and Exchange Board and India with study and power for protecting the interest of investor in security, promoting and development of security and market and regulating and security market its regulating jurisdiction and extended and corporate in the issue of capital and transfer of securities and additions to the intermediaries and person and association with security market SEBI has been obligate the perform and function by such measure as a thing fit a particular it is the power of regulating the business in stock exchanger and any other security market registering and regulating the working of stockbroker and subbroker act promoting and regulating self-regulating organizations prohibiting fraudulent and unfair trade and participant calling for information from undertaking inspirations conducting inquiry and audit of the stock exchange mutual fund and other person and associated with and the securities market intermediaries and self regulator organizations in the security market performing such function and exercise according to securities contract regulated act 1956 as may be delegate to it by the central government. It is regulating in the trading. A 24-member committee under chairmanship L.C. Gupta was set SEBI and development approach and regulator framework for derivative trading in India. On 11 1998, SEBI accepted the recommendations of the committee and approved the introductions of derivative trading including beginning with the stock index future the provision in the SCR and the regulating framework and development the other government trading and security Ameda Aman and the SAR an inclusive derivative with the ambit of securities trading in derivative possible with and framework on that act. Any exchanger following an eligibility criteria and prescribed in the LC Gupta Committee report can apply SEBI for grant and requisition under selection 4 of 1956 and start trading derivative, and derivative exchanges segment should have a separate governing counseling and representations, and trading and clearing member shall be limited to maximum of 40% of the total members of the governing council. The exchanger will have to regulate the seller participant of its members and will have to obtain prior and approval shabu before start of trading in any derivative contract. The exchanger should have minimum 50 members. The exchanger should have a minimum of 15 members. A members of an existing segment of the exchanger will not automatically become the members of derivative segment. The member of the derivative segment will need and fulfill an eligibility condition as let done his by LC Gupta committee. The clear and settlement of derivatives trader will be through an SABRI approved clearing and corporation house, and clearing and corporation house and complying with the eligibility condition as laid down by the committee have to apply SEBI for grant of approval. Derivative broker, dealer, and clear member and required to see registration from SEBI. This is the additional of their registration as broker and existing stock exchanges, and minimum net worth a clearing member at derivative clearing corporation house shall be 30 lakhs. The minimum net worth and clearing member of the derivative and clearing corporation house and shall 30 lakhs. The net worth of the member shall be mm, compute as follow: capital free reserves less non-allowability asset with fixed asset pledge security member card non-allowed security bet derivatives double derivative and advance prepaid expenses intangibility asset 30% marketable security. The minimum contract value shall not be less than 5 lakhs. Exchanger have to submit detailed and future contract with the purpose and introduct. An intelligent margin requirement expose limited linked to capital adequacy and margin demands related to the risk of loss on the position will the prescribed by SEBI exchanger from time to time. Dr. The LC Gupta community report required strictly enforcement of know your customer rule that requires that every client shall be registered with the derivatives broker. The member of the derivative segment are also required to that their client aware to the risk involved in derivative trading by issues to the client the risk disclosure document and obtained a copy of the same daily second by the client. The trading numbers members the trading member are required to have qualified approved and user and sales person who have passed and certifications program approved by the SEBI member and authorized dealer have and fulfill certain and requirement and provider collect and deposition as before member of the FNO segment, and all collection deposit are cigarette and cash component and non-cash component. Cash component means cash, bank guaranteed and fixed deposit receipt and T-bills and debt government securities, and non-cash component means all of the from and collateral deposited like deposit of the approval demand security. Network criteria of client member has been Proved by SEBI, with net worth criteria of trading member and limited trading member has been decided to stock exchanger. Few exchanger have a special category of member called limited and trading member who are not crash market market member of exchanger. The broker has required to get a risk disclosure document signed by the client at the time to client registration by document inform client about the kind of risk the derivative can involve from the client. It is client aware and available from. Apart from the other record, trading members are required to maintain trade and confirmations slip and exercise notice from trading system for 5 years. All member broker in the derivative segment should be inspected by the exchanger at last once a default the default by the member default by a member in the derivative segment will have trade and default in all segment of exchanger and default on all exchanger where he is the member. The purpose and inspections of stockbroker record under the SEBI Stockbroker Regulation 1992 and ensure that the books of account and other bank and being maintained in the manner required. The recognitions to the stock exchanger under the securities contract act security training and running and stock exchange and IAMs have provided understand transaction security and government central bank of the regulatory jurisdiction and government. The stock exchange through a process the recognition and continuous and supervisions and contract and security and listing and security of stock broker. The penalty suspend and registrations of the stock and stockbroker and SEBI was stockbroker and regulated and to order if the stockbroker violates the provision of the act. The stockbroker does not follow the code and conduct. The stockbroker fall of resolve the complaint of the investor. The stockbroker in dulex and manipulating or price reducing of the market. The stockbroker financial position deteriorate and substantially. The stockbroker fail of pay free. The stockbroker violates the conditions of registrations. The stockbroker of suspended by the stock exchanger. Position limit are the maximum exposed level which is the enter market can go up the edge and clearing member and investor can go up to position limit for the entry market and clearing member and invest are divided by SEBI. Each clearing member may have several trading member with him. The trading limited for each as trading member has decided to clearing member on the computerized trading system. If the trading member reach his position limited, he will not be available to enter and the fresh and transaction which is have the impact of increasing his expose. He will enter all only those transactions which have the impact and including is exposed. Thus the new position will not and permitted by squaring up the limited.